Hello?
Hello, okay, welcome ladies and gentlemen to a
Hey,
Blaze
great.
casting presentation. I'm Blaze Inferno casting, and this is what you go by Sasquatch or Parliament?
Parliament.
Okay, going with Parliament here for this Team Liquid in-house game, co-casting it up, trying it out, and seeing how it works out. So, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty great. Doing pretty great. How about you?
Oh, not bad at all. I've been casting for quite a while. I'm a little worn, but it's been pretty fun here. We had a kind of a little crazy thing going on. Felt like since one of my guys dropped out, as far as people lined up, I just felt like bringing in two that I'd already gone with. We actually did a tri-cast, and it was just
Okay.
completely terrible, but hilarious at the same time. So yeah, that was fun. That was fun. I guess if you want to start off with the draft here, we have Watch How I Spill One drafting up on the Radiant and Dr. Chopper on the Dire. These aren't set teams or anything. These are just members of the community starting it off and going through. So Dr. Chopper banning out the Anti-Mage, the Broodmother. Kind of top tier stuff, but almost just, I mean, the Anti-Mage isn't really the biggest deal. Not the scariest thing to fight up against anymore, but the Broodmother was nasty in the last game, so...
Oh, was it? Yeah, I was going to say, that seemed like a rather situational ban, but if they've got someone that's good with it...
Yeah, that most certainly adds up there. So, Broodmother was just... even going up against the Sand King, you'd think the Sand King 1v1 would destroy Broodmother in lane, but didn't work out that way. Brood got pretty farmed up, relatively quick Midas, and went from there, so...
Oh, wow. Alright, well, it looks like we're seeing some 6.75 heroes already getting picked up. I'm excited to see these in action. Got the Bat Rider and Jakiro, which haven't got much use prior to 6.75.
Yeah, that Ice Path, it's brand new, but it is just so strong. Makes him one of the best supports in the game. The cooldown, the mana cost, all very short, and it's just very powerful to disable indeed. So along with that, Crystal Maiden and Jakiro, I can't imagine that lane. No matter what carry they go with, they're going to have a lot of lane presence going on there.
Oh, I imagine they actually may be going for a dual mid now to try and counter that Bat Rider. Invoker's mid got a little nerfed, and he may have a hard time solo against Bat Rider. Crystal Maiden we may be seeing going with him mid.
Definitely could be an option there. I definitely don't. Obviously, Invoker in mid versus Bat Rider is not a lane you want to be up against. It's kind of a losing battle that you're fighting there. Along with that, Invoker's not really the best tri-lane carry, as he really is more reliant on experience than gold in this setup here. But they actually pick up the Templar Assassin as well. And though she didn't really receive any nerfs, the fact that Bat Rider got so hard buffed is generally a very difficult thing to fight up against. But you have to keep in mind, although Darkseer got banned out, Pudge is still on the field here. Rot is a very, very good mechanic to take out those refraction charges, assuming Templar Assassin's going middle lane, but could be the Bat or the Rubik just as easily.
Yeah, we may see a side lane Bat Rider solo, which would be interesting. Tong Fu used it in the International before the buff, so it's not unheard of, but it's generally he's one of the best mid heroes in the game. I'm surprised they would pick a second even when they have Rubik up there, who's also a very competent mid, but can also support when need be.
Yeah, Rubik's a good straight-up early pick, first pick in general, because he's very flexible no matter what you're up against. I mean, anything you steal, whether it just be a simple Crystal Nova or the spells from Jakiro, they can wreak a lot of havoc in the team fights there.
Absolutely.
But he's not really reliant one way or another on a certain lane. He can definitely go supportive, and I assume he will, as Bat Rider and Templar, will be going for more experience-reliant positions there. So Templar probably on mid, but Bat Rider can't count him out either.
Well, that's I'd imagine. I don't think, unless they're going to put Templar in a safe farm lane, which would be a waste of her abilities, I don't think she can solo a hard lane as easily as Bat Rider can. But either way, those are probably the two strongest mid heroes in the game right now. So it's interesting that they picked up both of them.
Indeed, indeed. Along with that, some bans coming out, the Enigma and the Pandaren Brewmaster. Nothing really synergetic about the bans coming out there. They obviously don't want the Fireflight going over the Black Hole. It's kind of frustrating to deal with, but generally speaking, it's not going to be destroying their composition one way or another. That's just something they kind of don't want to have to deal with and don't want in the enemy's hands, since they don't intend to pick it themselves. Along those lines, it definitely needs some more late game physical damage from the Dire here. Has a lot of support, and the Invoker chain casting spells back to back can add a lot to a team fight, but unless they go for a really hard like MKB style right click build for the Invoker, they need some more auto attack damage, and that could be some agility carry.
Especially considering the Rubik on the Radiant side is going to be hampering their magic damage as it is, so it's interesting they continued with this kind of AoE magic damage build when they're going to have Rubik's Aura up, basically providing a free passive pipe to the Radiant side.
Absolutely, absolutely. And along with that, Chen, Enchantress, Windrunner. I guess what Dire are really betting out here is the jungle heroes. Really, the only one remaining on the board is the Nature's Prophet. I don't know if they want that for themselves since they do have the first pick available, but definitely taking all the jungle options off the board, except for, actually, I've seen Batrider actually go for the jungle. He stacks up creeps, gets like 7 or 8 stacks of the napalm, and then
flies right over.
Yeah, going from level 2, almost hits level 5 with a really good stack composition. So it's very promising. It's kind of like the Tinker style with the Ancients, but in general, one way or another, even if you're banning out that many jungles, can't count out Batrider jungle as an option. Not going to be as effective up against the heroes. I mean, he could do a lot more, but in a lane presence. But it's still a way to get a lot of golden experience distributed evenly amongst your team. And the Tide's going to be the last ban coming out there.
I'm very interested if they do try and first pick Furia in here, though. Their lanes are going to be rather questionable. I mean, Jakiro and Crystal Maiden, neither one of them can really solo an off lane, and I'd imagine they're going to try and dual mid, especially if it's Batrider mid, so I can't see them picking up a jungle. Maybe that's why they were trying to ban off as many as they could, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. They're using up their time here.
Yeah, they only have, they're tapping into the reserve time in just a couple seconds here, but I know Flameboy likes to play the Chaos Knight, so it might be kind of a nice combo. Crystal Maiden and the Chaos Knight could either go in a dual lane setup versus a mid, could shut down the Templar Assassin pretty hard. Frostbite taken a number of times, but other than that, it's going to be really hard. They need something that's good against the TA. Dr. Chopper actually picks up a couple unorthodox heroes you generally wouldn't see, so you might see like an Ogre Magi 1v1 the TA mid, and going with the Ignite damage over time could be a fun little semi-counter, but I've seen Axe go TA versus TA mid, a couple of different things like that. So they have a more dynamic playstyle in the TLIH, definitely compared to competitive games, but it's fun no matter what. So
I'd be interested to see a Clockwork pick up for the Dire side here. Not only could he capably take the off lane, but that Cogs would be extremely powerful with Jakiro's ulti as well as Invoker's Meteor.
Yeah, as much as the PA, very interesting, but as much a hullabaloo as I've heard about the Clockwork, the buffs and everything like that, everybody talking about how amazing and that's exactly what he needed to get back in the game, and I've seen him like once. I've been watching a lot of streams and he doesn't appear that often, and I don't know if it just wasn't enough or we need the metagame to shift back towards the style that was more around the time period of the International 1, where it's later game carries and that Cogs kind of designed to separate the team fight and block off and double other things, but everything he does, Disruptor kind of does a little bit better, with the exception of the survivability. Obviously, Clockwork having a large amount of strength, but kind of talking about hypotheticals a lot more than what's actually right in front of us, with 2 assassins getting picked up, the Bounty Hunter along with the Phantom Assassin. A lot of physical damage on both ends here, but one thing is, auto attack here like the Bounty Hunter, I know crit will always hit 100% of the time, so Janata is kind of reliable against the Phantom Assassin, but do you think the fact that she has that blur, the 35% dodge, will inhibit the amount of damage that Templar and Bounty can put out on her if she does get farmed up?
Oh, absolutely, but I don't think that Bounty Hunter pick was for that. I think instead he's going... Well, actually, I don't know where he's going to go now because they had the Batrider that could offlane, but instead what the Bounty Hunter is going to be able to do is let them easily pick off that Crystal Maiden and Jakiro, who are... Jakiro has some decent stat gain, but Crystal Maiden is always going to be a very squishy hero, and to be able to cut her out of the fight instantly is going to be a huge benefit for them. And they already do have all of their heroes, and now an Alchemist, who literally every hero on their team could definitely benefit with some farm, and the Bounty Hunter helps out with that slightly. I still don't know about the Radiant side draft. These lanes are going to be rather interesting, but the Bounty Hunter helps them in the fact that every hero on their team could use gold, and he's free extra gold for their team.
Yeah, with that track helping out. As long as they keep the ganks up and the momentum rolling, it can definitely help out. But the only efficient lane setup I can possibly think of would be Bounty Hunter on the off lane, Batrider in the jungle, and then have Rubik supporting the Alchemist with TA in mid. And that's the best that they can do, but even then it's not really the exact best option. However, Dr. Chopper has picked up his signature hero, the Storm Spirit. It's his favorite, and he's going to go for bottle first and solo mid, hopefully to knock out the TA, though he doesn't really have that much damage over time mechanics other than the electric vortex, which actually that's just a stun. It's actually not damage. I didn't even think about that, so it's going to be hard to burn down the refraction for sure.
He's going to have a very hard time with refraction unless he can get a vortex on her when she has creep aggro, but even then that's not going to be nearly enough. Invoker is definitely capable of doing a solo suicide lane, but he's not one of the better heroes for it. I'll be interested to see how this shakes up, though. It looks like they have PA going out to the hard lane, and they're going to try an aggressive tri-lane with Crystal Maiden and Jakiro, which I guess works out better for them because the Radiant side also doesn't have an extremely strong solo suicide hero, But it'll be interesting to see how these lanes match up.
Okay, so I guess we'll go through the roster real quick. We have Watch How I Spill One picking up the Templar Assassin, currently in solo mid with nothing but branches right now. On the other hand, Demmed going up top, trying to survive as long as possible. Bounty Hunter going to use those wards to block off any stacking and pulling nonsense, doesn't want to have to deal with that, and then Clarities will just keep him in vis as long as he needs to. But on the other hand, we have Erase Me, definitely going for Jungle Bat. That's a bottle first, which is really, really weird, but I think that's going to be the only thing that can help him sustain that much mana from Fireflight. Along with that, we also have Show Nuff supporting on the Rubik here. Picking up a Magic Stick early on, not sure about that either, but one way or another we finally have that guy on Alchemist. So he's going to pick up the Stout Shield and go for a carry roll as safely as possible, but maybe not so lucky as we do have this tri lane shaping up as you mentioned before.
Let's see, yeah, so we've got the one-on-one PA and Storm mid, so I think the advantage goes early to PA on that, or TA, I'm sorry, on that one, but we also have some very aggressive warding down here from this aggressive tri-lane, and it looks like they're only sending 2 down to the bottom lane, which could be some trouble for this Alchemist, because he is a very weak hero early game, and when you couple that against the harassment Jakiro can put out, along with arguably the strongest level 2 hero in the game in Crystal Maiden, he's going to have a very hard time down there, even though he's in his safe lane with only Rubik to protect him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So along those lines, it's going to be a lot of damage pressure. Already seeing a little bit of slow coming out of the Crystal Nova. Rubik picking up the Telekinesis, so up against 3 heroes, it could be a lot more beneficial just to throw out some magic damage. But wants to play it safe, get that stun, and try to keep people alive. But Jakiro's Ice Path, like I mentioned, one of the most devastating early game spells, and especially in a tri lane, it's not too hard to set it up on multiple people, and with that they can easily get a first blood in this lane if Radiant isn't too careful about it, so that's going to be a really big deal. However, like you said, Templar Assassin definitely has an advantage versus Dr. Chopper, so we'll hopefully see much more advantage accrued from Erase Me in the jungle and Watch How I Spill One in mid lane, and if they can acquire that and succeed in that, then they can actually pull ahead despite the loss of the bottom lane here.
That is the advantage of the Jungle Bat Riders. He can just pop out of there at 6 without warning.
Telekinesis does go up. They're putting up a cast going on through onto Nobu. Decent stun going on through. The delay of the Ice Path means that they're not going to actually be able to bring him down. Not enough auto attack damage from Rubik, and the Alchemist couldn't pursue. So good action from Yoika keeps the Crystal Maiden alive. They just committed a lot of resources to that. I mean, their stuns aren't that much mana, but the fact of the matter is they don't have that many windows of opportunity. So good pressure. They did pop a salve off, but I don't think much is going to change from the status quo that they've already accepted here.
Oh, and looks like wow, yeah. So did I. We have our supposedly advantaged TA going down to Storm Spirit early.
Yeah, just was not expecting that whatsoever. I mean, the Vortex does give him plenty of time to jump on her. I'm assuming that her refraction was expiring, or she just didn't put it up in time, because I can't imagine any other easy way for Dr. Chopper to bring TA out other than her being over-aggressive and, just getting dropped down unnecessarily. So that was a kill that he really can't afford. First Blood going to the Storm Spirit gives him a lot of advantage early on. That bottle already up. Actually, on top lane, though, Ademd gets cold snapped up. One more auto attack is all he needs. He does try to Shadow Walk out, but it's not going to be fast enough. And so, trying to harass back Zancel, that's 2 unnecessary deaths for the Radiant here. And that's very unfortunate for them indeed. Not the momentum that they want to start off with whatsoever.
Yeah, this thing.
Stun going on out. Telekinesis following the. Actually, overlapping the stun's a decent amount, so they're not going to be able to bring him down in turn. Frostbite goes on through on that guy. He's taking a lot of damage here. A few more auto attacks. Flameboy, maybe. Nope. The stun from Jakir will finish the job. We won't be able to bring down Show Enough, but we'll do a lot in the process. They ping the courier, but they're just going to
get him after all. Yep, there he goes. Let's see if they're going to try and pursue on the courier, and they are.
Phantom Strike goes on through. The movement speed of the boots will actually give him what he needs, and he will get another kill.
Too. Wow.
That gold graph is just going to plummet down in their favor with those kills right there. 4-0 and a courier kill. That's the disadvantage. That is really not how Radiant wanted this game to start whatsoever, and it's going to put them very far behind as PA gets much richer as she farms up with that either Battle Fury or whatever she decides to go.
Yeah, that's. I still think the biggest thing out of all of those kills that just happened was that kill in middle, because really that was the only advantage Radiant had going for them, just with the lane matchups, and to give up first blood against that lane, your team's already extremely disadvantaged from their other lanes, and now we can only hope that Bat in the jungle can come out at level 6 and help his team out somehow, but it doesn't appear to be going too well for him either, as he has an empty bottle and half HP.
Exactly. So he's not going to be able to too much do. Wow, if I can actually get a sentence out, if he's not going to be able to do too much more for the time being, he'll hopefully be able to get that experience advantage up as he continues to stacking up this hard camp on the west. But in the mid, yeah, the Templar Assassin not even close to level 5, actually just barely into level 4, where Storm Spirit's going to get his Ball Lightning very shortly. That's going to be a really big deal for him. It's going to be hard for TA to lock him down at any point in time. Traps won't even really do much. So I actually might debate that Watch How I Spill one shouldn't even bother picking up his Psionic Trap, but I guess if Dr. Chopper does run out of mana, that's going to be a different thing, a different story entirely, so we'll see. But the Double Damage Rune does spawn on bottom, and for the time being, he does, Watch How I Spill one is going to be able to get there beforehand, but that would be completely different if level 6 was available.
That's true. That should help TA recover slightly in middle lane, but I think she's already having a hard time. They're going to have to rely on their ganks. I think Radiant's got the chance to get back into the game once both TA and Batrider hit 6, especially if they get Gondar to come join them, or sorry, Bounty Hunter to come join them and lay out some tracks on their ganks. They have a chance to bounce back, but currently things are not looking good because, again, this Batrider jungle is struggling. He is currently only level 3 and just barely so, and still has that empty bottle with now only about a third of his HP and less than half of his mana.
Yeah, and up on top lane, I didn't even catch it, but it just kills keep on happening where you don't expect them, and it's going to be actually the Bounty Hunter that had dropped down to the Invoker once more, just mistiming his Shadow Walks, wants to go aggressively with them, but there's definitely a time between the cooldown and the duration, and he's not really using that time wisely, as he has dropped down for the second time in this lane that he shouldn't be losing when there's no detection for standstill right now. But
absolutely, this Invoker doesn't even have dust, and there are no sentries near him. This Bounty Hunter at the very least.
Sure enough, the Ice Path has gone through. It's slow going on. That guy wants to try to stun it up, but it's not going to happen. Instead, Rubik's going to take a fall, and more farm for the PA, now 2-0-1. What were you saying?
Meanwhile, this Alchemist is having some trouble down here, and he went for that early Goblin's Greed, which I understand it was buffed somewhat, but still, unless you're getting unimpeded free farm, it's generally much better to max Acid Spray as soon as you can to give yourself some safe room to farm, and against an aggressive tri-lane, he is certainly not getting unimpeded free farm, so I question that a little bit, but...
Kirik janking on middle lane, her Refraction just came up, but the stuns are going through, a lot of damage. She's going to pop her Refraction meld, actually, is going to be perfectly fine, as they don't have the ability. Actually, with the Batrider coming in, they actually will be able to help him out, but he's taking a lot of damage over time. One more auto attack will do it. It was very unfortunate that he melted before his Refraction came back up, so he had to take every single one of their AoE damage nukes, and actually did Nobu come transitioning in, and Ball Lightning goes on through to try to get the last hit on that Storm Spirit, finish the job there, so extremely good for Dire, and I can't see Radiant really bouncing back without something drastic happening in the team fights here.
Yeah, things are not looking good, and there we just saw one of the big examples, actually, as to why Batrider hasn't been as popular in Dota 2 as he was in Warcraft 3 Dota, where he's still arguably one of the strongest heroes, even before his buff, was that the way the spell was based, as a flying unit, Crystal Maiden's Ice Block could not root a flying Batrider, her Frostbite, I'm sorry. But now with the Dota 2 engine, that limitation is no longer applies, and obviously we just saw a Fire-Flying Batrider get locked in place and shut down from a Crystal Maiden.
Yeah, I think she's actually one of the harder counters to him with that, because he always wants to blink in, jump in with a lasso, and try to stun somebody up, but if he can't pull them back to his safety, then he's going to be stuck in a very aggressive position and not happy about it at all. So Frostbite very, very good against that Batrider there, and was very effective in making sure they could lock down two heroes in that exchange here. Alchemist stunning himself on the bottom lane a little bit, just kind of not making the most of that unstable concoction. Now, it is only a max stun of 1.75 seconds right now, so it's not the biggest deal in the world. He needs some levels, he needs some gold, he needs to get rolling, and right now, nobody on the Radiant at all are getting that advantage that they need. Invoker, Storm Spirit, and PA all topping off the GPM charts ahead of any Radiant heroes, and actually Jungle Batrider coming out on top of their team. That's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, even looking at net worth, you have three Radiant heroes or three Dire heroes on top, where you have the Invoker, who is a solo side lane Invoker, nearly doubling anyone from the Radiant side, which is rather surprising. He's a decent laner, but in the side lane, not nearly as much, because you can bring in the harassment on him, and you have room to chase him. But especially with his recent nerfs to his attack damage, although I believe he is going Exort, so that isn't as huge of a problem, and he is going Exort, so yes, that's not as huge of a problem.
On bottom lane, Nobu is getting a Flame Break back into the Firefly, and he will get stunned up by Alchemist. Alchemist taking a kill, And is that the first kill on the board for the Radiant? So
it is.
It's a long road ahead, but it is a start at the very least.
It's a start. Unfortunately, it was only a Crystal Maiden they couldn't out, and then we lost our middle lane again.
Yeah, right back out.
Hasted Storm Spirit.
Can't imagine what the TA was doing there. I mean, I know he's got plenty of stacks of Magic Wand, but in general, it just seems like the worst possible position to die in has a Radiant solo mid.
So it looks like the level advantage is shifting pretty heavily for the Dire 2 now, and with this Radiant team that relies so much with 3 of their heroes that really want to be, 4 of their heroes even, that really want to be level 6 before they start team fighting and ganking, that's not a good sign for them.
Yeah, so do you think the farm dependence of multiple heroes on the Radiant team was a major factor in the fact that they are losing this? If they don't have the items, they don't have that much potential, and so in these exchanges, they're just not all non-favorable. They can't do too much with them. Actually, Stancil taking a lot of damage. Pretty much 1-for-1 exchange. The Invoker will finish off the Bounty Hunter before he drops down, but Templar Assassin will at least pick up the kill to avenge him and get a little bit of gold in her own pocket, but still sitting on regular boots and a Magic Wand bottle. Not really where she needs to be at it. Almost 10 minutes in the game now.
Yeah, meanwhile, we have Crystal Maiden going down again to the bottom lane now that Bat Rider is roaming, and it looks like we may have PA going down here as well.
Does Phantom Strike out. The long range stun, though, AoE hits on both of them, but I think they're still going to get away. So yeah, so that was a rough engagement, but I mean, the loss of Crystal Maiden isn't going to really change anything too much unless they get another one here. A lot of aggression going on through.
Oh, an excellent blink by PA, and she should be safe.
Nova comes on out, Frostbite.
The over-aggression may backfire on the Radiant side.
Erase Me really wants a kill right here, but here comes the Macro Pyre. He actually does pick up a couple, but he does drop down in the end. And so Flameboy will narrowly escape. And now Storm Spirit initiating on the southern end here. Gets that guy pulled in at the very least. Now looking for more. He has Rubik down, and the Alchemist won't be able to clean up the Bounty Hunter because he obviously cannot see him. But one way or another, that is a lot of kills in favor of Dire. And Storm Spirit getting that much more experience. Both of those were solo kills. And so his experience per minute jumping up to 545, which is just amazing for him. He's going to be getting his rank 2 Ball Lightning, and from there just have such an increase of his mana pool with his intellect gain. Back up on top lane, the Ice Path goes on through. Now a lot of damage, Dual Breath, all this damage over time effect, refraction extremely quickly, and one or two more on attacks will finish the job. They did pop Dust just to make sure, but I'm not even sure if that was entirely necessary, as they have so much that they can do over time with the Dual Breath, but one way or another it works out, that's for sure.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see now, because it looks like the Storm Spirit is going for an Orchid, which could be used both to prevent Bounty Hunter or TA from escaping with Invis, but could also be used to shut down Bat Rider pretty significantly. If he comes in and tries to initiate with Firefly and his ulti, that silence immediately will put him in a very bad spot.
Now, Dr. Chopper actually almost always goes for the Orchid first on Storm Spirit, and although nobody can say that he's a bad Storm Spirit player by any standpoint, do you think it's really as valuable of an option in this game compared to like a Bloodstone? I mean, they already have the advantage, the momentum. If they were getting charges on the Bloodstone, wouldn't he just become that much more of an unstoppable force in your mind?
I think possibly, but it's not a terrible idea with the way these teams are set up. The Radiant side is a team designed to get very aggressive and excel in the middle game, while Dire's team is maybe a little bit more suited towards waiting for late game with the PA and Storm Spirit. And that Orchid, he can get online a little bit faster than a Bloodstone, and will have a much more significant effect early with the silence, which, as I mentioned, can shut down Bat Rider extremely hard, but can also prevent their invisible heroes from escaping, which, to be fair, hasn't seemed like a large problem so far, as they've been getting a significant number of kills on Bounty Hunter and TA without reveal. Speaking of which, we're about to see a TA drop right here.
Presumably, she has 2 refraction charges left, but she's out of the invis. She has it again. Trying to go actually counter-aggressive, doing a little bit of damage to Yoika, gets knocked back by the Flame Break. A lot of charges of the Napalm on both of them here. Will they be able to get the kills? Erase Me gets stunned up. Is he in tower range? I mean, it doesn't matter. The creeps are engaged elsewhere, and so with that, How Should I Spill One will bottle up and survive this, or just disjoin it with the meld. Sunstrike goes on through, will be enough. Oh, it would have been enough.
That's a good job with his team to stay near him. I don't know if that was coincidence or they were predicting the Sunstrike, but to be able to distribute that damage across 3 heroes, if that had just hit TA or even Rubik, it would have killed either one of them. Exactly. But the presence of the 3 heroes grouped up like that prevented him, even though it was a very well-placed Sunstrike, from actually landing a kill.
Yeah, because right now that does 287 true damage. She didn't have refraction up, and it might have just been dumb luck, but one way or another they did survive that. Very, very fortunate for them.
Now, what I am surprised about is that they were not able to capitalize with the tower on that 3-0 exchange. I know most of their heroes were rather low HP, but Alchemist was not, although now he is, and he is dead.
As a matter of fact, yeah, he got knocked out there. He wasted his stun really, really quickly on Unstable Concoction. He put it up after like maybe a second of popping it. Don't think that's really very efficient usage of it. It's not like PA is going to jump away. I mean, she does have the Phantom Strike, but no creeps to jump to at that time. But unfortunately for him, there was a Storm Spirit right behind her, and with that long-range ball lightning initiation, really no chance for him in the end either. Now they're looking for Erase Me. They do see the creeps that he is pulling around, but it doesn't look like they're going to be able to close the gap, and so they're just going to transition towards pushing on the bottom tower, which is below half health and should be pretty easy pickings. The Fortify is available, but did they see Show Enough just south of the Force Spirits? It was so close.
Although, looks like we're about to get some action here with the teleport in from TA, and a haste.
Yeah, haste rune's popped. He
This
wants
may
to pop
not
the
be a
trap
good
up.
idea even with the haste, however.
Yeah, Cold
There's
Snap
quite a
is
bit of dire right there.
So in the end, yeah, they didn't catch out the Rubik, but that was just because he was in a very interesting juke spot. Rather than south of the tower as they predicted, he was actually just right on their noses, so he was able to stay alive in that process, even though he is sitting at only 680 HP, only level 7, but that may not stay the same. Bit of an engagement here, and PA jumping on him, doing a lot of damage, and crit. Invoker actually getting the last hit on that in the end, though. Storm Spirit on the back end, or yeah, over in the jungle, going aggressive on Erase Me. He's trying to Fireflight over the cliff. A little bit more auto attack damage will prevent that from happening. Now Adept in range of the, and that's not even their Sentry Ward, but in the end he was still frostbitten up, and they were able to drop him down. So no problem at all. I want to keep the aggression going. Storm Spirit staying on top of things. The stun going down, ticking, and Alchemist is just going to end up dropping before that even becomes an issue here. He's
now I'm actually surprised with that Soul Ring build on Alchemist, because his ultimate provides so much mana regen that unless he was having a hard time getting to his ultimate, it really isn't an extremely necessary item on Alchemist. Especially with a rank 1 stun that doesn't cost him. Let's see, oh no, the mana cost is constant, but even then, he's not using his stun as often. Really, the only main mana usage is his Acid Spray, which, as long as he's using his ulti whenever it's off cooldown, which generally, until you're looking into regular team fights, you do on Alchemist, that provides him with enough mana regen to where he could have much better used his gold towards a farming item as opposed to a Soul Ring.
Yeah, I completely agree with you there. I mean, yeah, you can spam with the acid sprays. It is a 22-second cooldown that synergizes with Soul Ring pretty well, but really that's a push Alchemist build. If you want to knock down creeps really quickly, that's a great option, but in general, it's not going to have that much of an impact, and you don't need to spam it. You just need it in certain circumstances where you want to control the area, and that can help out with Batrider actually going and trying to pull Ioika into a terrible spot, but instead, Dr. Chopper having none of that with a double damage rune ball lightning in, bringing down a lot of damage. Templar Assassin going to take a fall as well, and there's just really no hope for them in this exchange here. And that long-range Ice Path actually catches off Rubik as well. Triple kill for Dr. Chopper, and that's going to be just so devastating for them. There's just so much pain coming out. Storm Spirit level 13, at GPM of 460, and that's literally twice almost any of the Radiant heroes.
Oh, I hope we're not about to see a Batrider get caught out. Oh, okay, he managed to get the invisibility off this time.
However,
but
Dust comes out.
They were ready for him this time. I'm actually, as someone who plays a lot of Suicide support or Suicide solo, I'm actually kind of disappointed in this bounty hunter, as he really shouldn't have been dying so much early. Now they finally got reveal for him, but that entire first 10 minutes, there was no reveal up in top lane, and he still went down 2 or 3 times, and his team really needed him to get 6 as soon as he could, because his entire team needs gold, and they're frankly not getting it. And you could see it with their items.
Absolutely. So for extending a little bit further than he really had any benefit to. I mean, he jumped in and got the Electric Vortex off, but really what was going to do beyond that with an empty mana pool. Now Ioika overextends himself, and one more auto attack, TA will finish the job and actually pick up a kill for herself there. So I think that was kind of a cause and effect of Dr. Chopper initiating, where he didn't really have the feasibility to make anything of it.
Yeah, I definitely think that was the case, and Jakiro doing the hard job that many supports do when their carries overextend, is to sacrifice himself for the better of the team.
Exactly.
And ran in to use his body to slow the team down from killing Dr. Chopper. However, we have a bottled haste, which was just activated with an Orchid already on Storm Spirit, so we could be looking at a kill at this Batrider on the top lane. As he comes running all the way across, and Batrider is going to try and TP out.
Up on the cliff as high as possible, flying very, very high indeed, out of the map. Can Storm Spirit prevent this? I'm not entirely sure.
Oh.
I don't even know if it's physically possible to prevent this, let alone actually if he would be willing to go that far to do it.
Yeah, interesting use of the Firefly there. I assumed that Ball Lightning would also allow Storm to reach those areas, but possibly not, as it seemed like he altered in that direction. It just wouldn't put him up in the same area Batrider was.
Tusk pop unnecessarily, trying to lock down Bounty Hunter 8. Was he in range of that? Wow! That was like the maximum radius on the dust, and it did drop him down.
Now, I actually don't know if the dust landed. I'm going to Google quickly to double check, but I believe if Ice Path lands, it reveals invisible units.
When I clicked on him, he did have the dust debuff, so either somebody else put it up, or that was the longest range dust I've ever seen. But one way or another, he did drop down, and now same thing will be for the Alchemist. Storm Spirit initiating on him and following up with the Jakiro. But up on top lane, it looks like Templar Assassin is going to push up onto the top tier tower, just do a little bit of pinprick of damage to it, but unfortunately she doesn't really have any major items. No Desolator, no Blink Dagger. I mean, really, if she doesn't have the mobility, all she has is Phase Boots right now, and since TA is such an immobile hero, she has an attack range of 320, and really all she can do is do a few auto attacks towards Stancil and then run for her life. Right now taking a lot of damage from the Cold Snap. The Meteor misses, but I mean, just the Ice Wall itself will be able to burn her down very gradually, and the cold, yeah, she's going to take down just from the damage over time.
The Ice Wall,
the Ice Wall expired just in time, but they still should be able to.
We could see a deafening blast here, or even
She comes on out trying to burn down Stancil in the process. He does drop really low, but not going to be enough.
Yeah, that was far too aggressive a position for her to be in without a Blink Dagger. If she had a Blink Dagger, she could maybe consider trying to do that, because TA is a surprisingly decent split pusher with the burst damage she can deal and the debuff she can provide to the towers, especially with the Desolator. But although she doesn't have that yet either. But without a Blink Dagger, with the mobility their team has between the Storm Spirit and a Force Staff on the Invoker, that was a really poor decision by her to attempt solo push at tier 2.
Storm Spirit initiating on middle lane. Bounty Hunter in range of the tower. Sunstrike unneeded as double damage. Once again, Dr. Chopper finds the best runes possible. I mean, regen was really good too, but all the same, he does a lot of damage there and burns down the Bounty Hunter extremely quickly. Setting Bounty Hunter his KDA currently 0-7-2. As a long lane solo, how do you feel about that KDA?
That is, I would say, maybe if his deaths were his assists, and the two were either his deaths or kills, he'd be in a much better position. But your number one goal as a suicide solo is to not die and to simply soak up XP. And if you're capable of hindering their farm, that's nice. If you can get a solo kill, it's amazing. As a bounty hunter, no one expects that, but they do expect you to not die. And he simply was not able to follow up with that, which is especially concerning considering he was in a 1v1 situation. I mean, if he were against a tri-lane, that may be something slightly more understandable, and I'm sorry, I'm talking over a bunch of kills here.
No problem, I got the camera on at least one of them there. Flameboy actually, I think he got a 1v2 situation there. The TA got picked up off top, and same with the, well no, actually the Rubik and the TA, Rubik being a really low level, respawning very rapidly, so I got those a little confused, but yeah, Rubik and TA got taken down by the Phantom Assassin already. She has that Vanguard, it's rather durable in the Midas, just to keep her farming up, and since she scales so well into late game, actually she's undeterred, she's going onto Adem, she doesn't have any detection, now she's taking a lot of tower hits, and will drop pretty low, but there's so many creeps there, she's going to be able to disengage that and move on forward to bring down the tower. But yeah, 1v2 versus a Rubik and a TA, I don't even know, but Phantom Assassin level 16, may the crits be with her, because he's able to take him down, and Flameboy playing aggressively as he wants to. That's very fun for him.
Well, he is leading the team now in that XP per minute, and I assume that Midas definitely does not help, or does not hurt him. And his gold per minute is also on top of the team, so over 500 gold per minute, over 600 XP per minute at 22 minutes. On a PA, that is nothing you want to get in the middle of. And with that Vanguard coupled with the Blur, she's going to be a very hard hero for them to deal with this late in the game, and that's not even considering the Storm Spirit, who is extremely strong in his own regard. And at 11-0-4 on the Storm Spirit, actually.
Yep, and then PA, sorry, Phantom Assassin doing the same thing. But Phantom Assassin picked up a straight Desolator, bought it right out, and still has 1,800 gold in the bank.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, there's a problem when you just have that much GPM straight up on one of the hardest carries in the game. So scalable with the dodge, with the crit, and now moving on. Nowhere is safe for them. The Dire is warded 3 times over on their main jungle, and even the Ancients are covered. They lack vision of literally one neutral camp. Anybody approaching any of the other ones will be completely found out, and even then it's the most roundabout way to get to it. That, yeah, it's just they can't farm anywhere in any lane, any neutral. They get caught out, and they're going to call it a good game straight up. There's too much. I was going to make an interesting point. Jakiro going for a Veil of Discord. Do you feel a Mechanism would have been more appropriate to kind of support and add utility to the team? Or do you think the Veil, the extra magic damage, helping out Crystal Maiden with her Freezing Field along with Storm Spirit and Invoker with a bit of their Meteor damage and etc.?
I think if the game had been closer, yes, the Mechanism would have been the ideal item, but as one-sided as it was, something like a Veil of Discord just continues to pour it on, and you have, although his team, aside from him, does not have a large amount of magic damage, so it's actually kind of a surprising item choice, as the Invoker deals some decent magic damage, yes, but he doesn't really need the debuff. I would like to see that item picked up with the Sand King or an Enigma, something to hold them in place with Macro Pyre, but when you don't really have that, yeah, his ulti and CM's ulti both deal a large amount of damage, but the Radiant team definitely has the mobility to get out of those areas, and then your Veil is essentially a wasted item slot.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one last question. Do you feel that the Radiant team just simply got outpicked? I don't think anybody can deny that they didn't have the better composition, but do you think they got both completely outpicked and outplayed, or just straight up, if they had been on equal grounds as far as heroes go, that they could have still hung together and made it a much more appropriate match?
I definitely think it was a combination of the two. As you saw, the Bat Rider, while he's capable of jungling, and if he had hit an early 6, may have been able to rebound that bottom lane, he struggled in the jungle. You had a Bounty Hunter, which in any one-on-one situation, yes, it's an Invoker, but you should at the very least, be able to stay alive in a one-on-one situation, and he simply could not do that. And the TA, who, as we said in the beginning, technically looking straight at the lane matchup, had an advantage, but gave up the first blood. So even they did get heavily outpicked, but they really got outlaned very hard too, and that was just a brutal combination for them. And I would say, after about those first 4 kills in the first 5 minutes, things were not looking good for Radiant side.
Yeah, and I've got to definitely list my MVP as Dr. Chopper, picking up the Storm Spirit, 1 out of lane against the TA, and then ganked all over the place, having a total of 16 of the 32 kills and assists through multiple methods there. So very mobile, very active, and of course winning the draft by far, picking up a very, very powerful combo with that aggressive tri lane in the PA, and yeah, it worked out for them in every single lane.
Absolutely, he was hands down the hero that defined the game. Although I would like to give an honorable mention to that Invoker who, like I said, in a one-on-one situation against a Bounty Hunter, managed to kill him multiple times without any kind of invis reveal, so he didn't have to waste his gold revealing the Bounty Hunter because he didn't have a problem killing him without it, and then managed the second highest gold per minute on the team to only the Phantom Assassin, who had a Midas helping her.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, yeah, definitely mentioning him too. And in general, the Dire team played much more skillfully and executed their strategy very, very well. So, anyways, thanks for casting with me, man. This has
thanks for having me.
Yep, this has been Parliament co-casting with me. I'm Blaze Casting, kind of up-and-coming Dota 2 caster. I've been doing this for about 3 months. I'm not sure about you and your experience with it overall, but
that's been one of my first few experiences casting. I've done a little bit of coaching and streaming my own games, but that was one of my first times spectating and casting another game.
Cool, cool. Do you have a stream or a channel or anything that you want to plug real quick? Or?
Yeah, sure. I'm in the stream right now. It's just twitch.tv/parliamentdota. So I am in the stream right now. And shout out to Test Alliance from EVE Online, who I think may have a few of the spectators in this game.
Very, very cool, very cool. So thanks for co-casting with me. It was a lot of fun, and hopefully we can do it again sometime. But
yeah,
thanks.
For sure.
This is going to be my last game for the night, guys. 9:15, so I've been doing this for many hours now, and I'm just going to close out. But that was a fun cast and very, very enjoyable conclusion. It was a little bit of a stomp, but one way or another, it was good, well played by the Dire. So, but thanks for joining me, man, and you have a good one.
Thanks for having me. You too.